Alright, good morning guys. It is Nick Mulbauer here. And to bring you guys up to speed, this morning I went crappie fishing. But the problem is the cover I was fishing was inundated with probably 4 to 7 inch crappie. You're just gonna keep catching that year class, those 4 to 7 inch fish. 5% chance that something better moves in. Like I said just before, we have cloud cover, and that's fantastic for bass fishing as well, because they will push up shallower on those steeper banks and points, making them easier to catch. I have like 2 hours right now, and I just want to make the most of it. So instead of catching dinky crappie, I'm gonna go try to catch some bass, and I think I'll have more fun doing that this morning. So stick with me, let's go catch some bass. Alright guys, we got our first bass this morning, and we got some dirty water, and guess what? Nice little smallie there, folks. Little fella. The water's really dirty, guys. I'm still using that swim bait. I'm using a flat white 1/8 ounce jig head, and I'm just working this shallow water. And I'm kind of jigging it today. I'm like flat reeling it, but I'm also jigging it because I'm trying to create commotion. They can't see very well with this water being dirty, so I'm hoping that jigging it, just bouncing bottom, will attract those fish. So what I'm doing is I'm just flat rolling it just like I normally would fish a paddle tail, and every now and then I'm just giving it some erratic thumps just to put some vibration out in the water and help those fish see that bait, because it is quite gummed up. Water clarity is about probably a foot and a half. I'd say more along the foot range. So I'm just fishing real slow still. Water temps are probably upper 40s right now, 47 degrees I would say, 48. And we're just slow rolling. It was kind of cool to catch that little smallie. I caught that big. I would have probably been a lot more excited about it had I caught that giant last weekend, but we're still figuring out depths and how to present this bait to these fish. But I feel like just fishing that flat white paddle tail and giving it some erratic motion will help get a couple more bites today. So I got about probably an hour and a half, 2 hours to fish yet before I have to pack it up for family things today. And yeah, hopefully we can pick up 1 or 2 more. Stay down, twerp. None of that yet. It's spring. You're too cold to jump. Bass number 2, guys. Largemouth this time. As you can see, he inhaled that bait. We haven't left the spot from where we caught that smallmouth. We are still right where we were. Oh, he's up in there good too. It's hard to get it out of him. There we go. So there we go, folks. Little largemouth there. A lot of fun. Just swimming that bait, bouncing it. That jig about landed right on top of that fish that time though, so there's not much method to it when you put it right on their head. What it tells me though is that there might be fish just a hair bit further offshore there. Just cast in that same spot and see if there's a pile of them there. Just working it real thorough. Always fish thoroughly. As thorough as you can, especially when this water's dirty. Make some commotion. Put that bait in front of them. Roll it past them multiple times. Get those fish to eat it. Work all those depths. When it's this dirty, they can push really shallow or they can be deep. Oh my God. Alright guys, let's talk about things that I should have probably done instead of what I did. So obviously in the video I had fished a flat white paddle tail all morning and just worked it parallel to shallow and mid-depth cover. That was effective, but I had been catching a lot of smaller fish. Upon observation of just fishing bank and seeing what was going on around me, I had noticed that fish were pushing up against cut banks. There were fish in a foot of water, but what they had was an extremely vertical cut bank that they would bud themselves right up against, and they would be in no more than a foot of water. So had I figured that out earlier, I would have probably pitched a jig instead of fished a paddle tail. That would have been way more effective. And if I want to get into making excuses, it would have been a lot easier to fish that way from a kayak. I was bank fishing, and with fish pushed so tight against the bank, it's really hard to be stealthy and get up on those fish and be able to accurately pitch a jig at those fish, just pressed so tight against that cut bank. The water was a lot dirtier than I anticipated, and it pushed those fish a lot shallower than I anticipated. I did not expect those fish in that 40-degree water, 48-degree water to be so pressed up against the muddy cut banks. I thought they would be deeper. I really did. So when you got 2 hours to work with, it's a very tight time frame to really dissect and figure it out. The paddle tail worked great, but it just wasn't catching those larger fish. And I really believe that if I would have been flipping a jig into those shallow cut banks, that is a good way to catch some big ones. So that's all I got for you guys. I look forward to the next trip. Always learn something, guys. That's the key takeaway. There's always something to learn. Even if your trip didn't have a big bang, it didn't go off with a bang, you can still come away from every trip learning something new, and that's what you should always be striving to do. So I'll let you go. Take care. Have a good one, guys. Bye.